Hello to everybody. My name is Stefan Laeng, and I've had the pleasure of hosting most of these meetings over the past couple of months, and today I will also lead us. And I wanted to say I'm in a bit of a somber mood today, and many of you I know will be able to relate to that because of what's been happening or coming to the surface again in our country over the past week. And of course, it's always there. So I want to dedicate this class to George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor, who are victims of recent racism in our country, and really dedicated to victims of racism everywhere. So at this time, actually, in the town where I live, there's a protest going on, and I would have been there, but I'm happy to be here with you. And I'm also wanting to just reflect for a moment on the privilege that I have as a white man to be here and enjoy this work together with you, and that I do not need to be afraid when I go out of my house or when I go anywhere. I'm pretty safe just because of the color of my skin and because I'm a white man. And that is not the case for a lot of us. So that's kind of on my mind as we work together today. And again, I'd like to dedicate the class to all victims of racism. So with that said, let's settle and close our eyes for a moment. It may actually be a longer moment. And just notice what you feel inside yourself as maybe these words reverberate in you. I can feel that I'm a bit nervous. I feel a little shaky. It's something that's important to me and moves me deeply. You will feel what you feel. And at the same time, as we maybe in this mode or that mode or upset or wherever we are, there's still something under us, very basic and simple, that supports us. You will notice the support of the floor under you, the support of a seat or cushion, whatever you might be sitting on. So to me, that state of being at the same time moved and upset, while I'm still feeling what is calm and quiet under me and supporting me, that has been really helpful. So maybe you can feel what is stirred up in you. And also feel what supports you, that is beneath you, the floor, the cushion. And then this other force, presence that supports us, air, and the air that we breathe. And how the air comes and goes. And nourishes us freely. So these quiet presences. And this exchange, we are in such a intimate exchange with the world of air as we breathe. And as we let it flow deep inside of us. When we really feel, when we are really there for it, you will notice how immediate, and I want to say intimate again, a world we live in. The air that touches us, the air that we breathe. Not to think about it so much, but feel it. The intimacy of the floor beneath us, the ground we sit on, we touch with our feet. When we can let go as what we think about things a bit, thoughts are still going to be there. But can you distinguish between sensations, thoughts. And then for this time, choose sensations over and over again. This moment of touch. And maybe we will notice how intimately we are part of this world. You could call the air a stranger and not trust it. That would be very foolish. You let it in and you let it out, even though it's appears to be completely different from you. Where else do you meet the world of the other? Through sounds. Otherness makes itself known. I don't know what you hear that surrounds you. Maybe bees or birds or airplanes or cars. Listen. And even if it's silent, how other is that? How strange. And how about the touch of your eyelids? There's another meeting. Maybe you want to blink a few times and just let your eyes open and close. And feel how these two apparently separate things, upper and lower eyelid, meet. And the quality of that. And maybe you can feel how the eyelids cover the eyeballs. You could say they're strangers, they're completely different from one another. Yet they intimately meet. How do you treat yourself through your eyes? No need to think about it, but you can feel, can you? And with your eyes still closed, if that's possible, would you go with one hand, but take your time and come to touch your forehead. Now here are two completely different shapes meeting, completely different creatures, if you will. Yet they are one. The hand could say, who is this stranger, this solid, round, hard skull? I am so different. And yet we meet. How do we meet? Don't think about it, just feel. And how do we part? And what remains? And how has it changed you deep in your head, if it did? And what if the other hand comes to a different part of your head, somewhere where you feel drawn to? Some other strange shape. I don't think the hand says this doesn't belong to me. And maybe it does. Sometimes it does. We're alienated even with ourselves. But if you can drop from thinking into feeling, how do these strangers meet? Does this make sense? Completely different in their shape and build. The hand with its many joints and fingers, and the head wherever you touch it with its shape. How do you meet? How can we be together? And I'm not saying that it's always pleasant and always good and always familiar. It can be very strange and sometimes disconnected, even as we touch our own head. And how do we leave? And how is hand as it comes down? Maybe changed, maybe invigorated, I don't know, maybe tired. And how is head? How deeply have I been touched? Or where do I block it? So if we would turn your head so you don't, when your eyes open in a moment, you don't look at the screen, but you look away just to the side of the screen to whatever your eyes might meet when they open. And then just allow whatever meets your gaze to be there with you for a moment. And whatever you see is there just as you are there. Just as you are there. It may not be human, it probably isn't. In fact, it may be very different from you. And you may, when you think about it, think that it has nothing in common with you. Yet it's there, and it's its own thing, for lack of a better word. And then let your gaze wander through the room, which may be a room that you're very familiar with, that you seemingly know everything that's in it. And just let your gaze wander and look around. You can turn around yourself. And see what meets you. What also is here. I see a bicycle. It's a very different creature. And all the things that you may be familiar with. You may even call them mine. My bicycle. My cup. Yet, is it? So here we live in this populated world of aliens, of creatures of different shapes and colors. And yet we live together, we inhabit this world. Maybe your living room right now. or maybe when you're outdoor, plants and stones. Or the shape of the building if you're indoors, or the shape of the room you're in. Just like you have your shape. Shape and the skin color that you didn't choose. Things have their shapes and colors. So look around and then feel free to get up and start touching things. And Edda, who is also on the call and makes these beautiful bottles and with inscriptions, she gave me a bottle that says, it's a tall, slender, pink glass bottle that says, "May the obvious be strange." And I always like that, to see things that are so familiar to us. But look again. The world is full of strangeness. Full of, I'm going to say full of wonder. I hope I'm not sounding too new agey here. But when we really look, when we really feel, when we really touch, it's always a discovery, isn't it? Oh, how does this feel? When I don't assume that I know it. So feel free to go around, feel free to get up and move around. I'll give you a few minutes. You might even want to touch a wall and really meet it. Not so much with your thoughts, but it has a temperature, it has a texture. And yes, it has a color too. But let's feel it with your arms, maybe even with your back. So here are two shapes. I happen to be shaped this way. I happen to have this color. And I'm meeting something of completely different texture and shape. I think you may have lost me for a minute, but I'm here. And then where you are, let your eyes close again and just let these impressions percolate through you. Again, the meeting of the eyelids. the touch of the floor beneath you. It's an intimate world, maybe too intimate for us sometimes, so we escape into thoughts and dreams and memories, and sometimes it's scary. But right now, how do you feel supported by the world? Are there ways or places that you can feel, not think about? Contact of the floor, the flow of air, your beating heart. And I hope you allow me, as we continue, to maybe make us a bit uncomfortable for a moment. As you feel that free flow of air, as it is for you now, this in and out. We can never take it for granted. We know many, many people have suffered from COVID-19 and their breathing has been impeded, and it's terrifying. And some people, because of the color of their skin and because of they're considered to be a threat, can die because someone kneels on their neck and they cannot breathe. So maybe we can breathe for them for a minute. And then open your eyes again. And look around. And turn your head and move around. Isn't it amazing we can do this? The way we are built, that beautiful way we are built, we can turn and look up and look down. And we can see. Can you see what's there? Can I see what's there? Can I see it in its own right? can I give it the space in me to exist? How does it engage me? Don't think about it, just feel whatever you feel. And if you would once more reach out to one of these objects, mine happens to be a cell phone, but touch it and feel it, not as, what do you call it, but as something that is, like everything else, attracted by the earth. You can feel, oh, just like I am attracted by the earth, this thing is. How does that feel through me? In that sense, although we may be completely different creatures in my observation, we are similar, we are very similar. We're a shape and we're attracted by the earth. And we are supported by the earth. And we have a shape, we have a temperature. Maybe touch your head with the other hand. And we are attracted by the earth. And then if you would put it away again and place it to where it was before. And then let's come together at our screens. And I'd like to try an experiment of a bit of a different kind, and I hope it's going to work. But let's see. I hope it's going to work. What I would like to do, and I know it will leave out a couple of you who are on the phones, but just please find your own way with this. What I'm going to do is I will put you into rooms. So we meet in many different rooms of maybe just 3 people, 3, 4 people. And what I would like you to do is when you find yourself in one of these rooms, is not to talk to each other, but we'll just see each other. Make sure you have the gallery view so you can see everybody on your screen, and just see each other, see who's there. We'll go there in a minute. So see who's there and just see each other, and you'll probably also see into their living spaces. And we're just gonna kind of meet in these different rooms, and there's no need to talk. Of course, you can see each other and maybe you feel like smiling or saying hello, but don't talk. So, and to those of you who are on the phone, I'm sorry, you will have to find your own way, and just maybe you'll hear the other noises from the others, or just be quietly in the knowing that I'm in a space with others, even though I don't see them. So I'm just gonna try this and let's see what happens. And we'll just stay there for a couple of minutes. You will be asked to join a room, and I think you have to say yes, I believe. So let's try this. And maybe you find yourselves with me in a room, a group of us. That's okay too. We'll just look around. Back together as a large group, one by one. Seeing each other, taking this peek into each other's spaces, into each other's worlds. Just a few seconds and then everybody will be back. Just look around who's here. So thank you for indulging me in this experiment. How did it go? We have 10 minutes to share. And I'm not going to unmute everyone, it just gets too loud. But if you would like to share, I hope you know how to unmute yourself. Please do so, don't hesitate.
So I was gonna say I like breaking out into small groups because I think I felt like a stronger connection to the two people I was with. And I noticed like the different things, like their facial expression, their background. I just felt more. So it was a different experience.
So ironically enough, out of 62 participants, I happened to know one of the participants. So that was like really crazy. But having said that, it was just nice to see an individual, not just with preconceived notions of what an individual looks like, but just to look at perhaps the shadowing on their faces, the different perhaps lines on their faces, creases in their faces, and also prompted me to look at my own face in terms of the shadows and the dimensions. And so when Stefan before was talking about, you know, picking up different items in your space and just touching them, I thought about when I touched this stone and just the different feeling of the stone or the walls, and just the smoothness or the coarseness. And what I looked at when I looked at the two other individuals' faces and mine, things like texture, you know, as well as one can see it on Zoom. And as I mentioned before, just how we have sometimes these preconceived notions of how one's face or how, you know, a person should look. So that's what I have to offer.
And I'm seeing you all now, all of you who are on the current screen. And I'm aware of how we're all so different. It's like I don't see anyone who looks like me, or, you know, and many, I don't know, it's just so thrilling to see the differences, and yet to know that we're all here together and that we're all human beings. I mean, if a cat crossed that would be fine too. It doesn't just have to be human. The differences, and yet we all have so much in common that's beyond the story of our lives, just because we're here together on this call, on this planet. It's very touching to me, and it very much relates to what we're going through now. illness, racism, all kinds of differences, and yet we're the same.
Yes, Sarah. I want to just say I was thinking about when Stefan was just talking about what had happened, not just with the pandemic, but the virus of racism also, and how in a lot of ways we are so similar than we are different. And I was thinking about an article that I just read about the Mapuche culture and the way they're close to, I think, Chile and Venezuela, and the way they raise their children, not to look at things in terms of fear, but in terms of respect. And so oftentimes when we don't see people or things that look like us, our behaviors are born out of fear, as opposed to trying to understand and get to know what this different looks like. And so it was very compelling article for me, and compelling for me for a whole host of reasons, because I have lived within the virus of racism for my 62 years. So I see it up close and personal, intimate. And if only we could all just take on the beliefs of the Mapuche culture and to look at fear and flip it in terms of respect. How can we all respect one another in our differences and our, alikeness? So, thank you.
I find it relating to the fear. I sensed my animal instinct of bumping into the new animal that I never met. So I have that fear. It's very deep. And I also have the instinct of being a baby, like delighted to meet somebody facing, so make me smile. And I have that thing at the same time. And then on top of all the situation, like we are adult and then social meeting on Zoom with strangers who never met them. So I find it pretty complex. I was going back and forth to being animal and baby and then social being adult. So I find I need some kind of practice what to do with this conflict. That's what I felt, wow, I need more practice to make it sense to how to, I don't know, deal with what I inherited system. Yeah, so that was what I felt.
I'm Karen. I just want to say a few things quickly. I loved the fact that we're supported by the earth. And when we went into the room, I could just feel the dignity and the beauty of, we had an empty room and then 2 other people, and just how much I love people, just that gushing of people. I don't know, just I love people, and seeing 2 people without judgment, just being with them. There's just so much beauty in that and so much aliveness. So thank you.
I'm Laura. I thought it was a beautiful progression, because I noticed even when I first put my hand to my forehead and Stefan said, and then we were asked to bring it away, he said something like, did you let yourself be changed by that? Did you let yourself be really touched by your hand? And then just to kind of progressively get deeper and deeper into actually letting the other touch you, like letting the other recognizing that already present relationship where we're totally really exposed to the world all the time. And then to get to do that with other people and noticing the kind of the fear and the hesitancy, and then the desire for connection and the desire for openness and the feeling of already present connection. So yeah, I thought it was actually extraordinary to get to really feel how am I relating to my connectedness? Am I letting myself really receive the world and be touched by it? And then if I'm not, how am I tending to that feeling, to that fear? So thank you.
So thank you to everyone for participating, and thank you for letting me experiment in this way.